But what did you want? You had a list to discuss. What was that? Oh wait, you want me to do the opening?
Do we have an opening?
Well,
like
you
a
want
disclaimer
me,
or something?
You want a disclaimer? Or do you want me to?
Go for it. You've been practicing, right?
A bit.
Okay.
All right. So, should I say welcome or no?
If you care. I mean, if
I don't really care. All right. So welcome to the, I guess, pilot or is this the official first episode?
I would say pilot.
Welcome to the pilot episode of Let Me Just Say This podcast with your two main hosts,
Ben Badley.
All right. And I'll just leave my name at Christian, or you can call me Shiesty, as Ben likes to call me. But the reason for this podcast is right now we'll just talk about anything we want to get off our chest or any topics in the news or social media that we'd like to discuss, or just goofy, wacky, zany hypotheticals that some of us like to bring up. And if anyone wants to chime in, they can just email us or just leave it in the comments of videos. And right now it's just me and Ben here tonight, and hopefully we'll have more of our other co-hosts join one day, and possibly some special guests and reoccurring guests as well. And that'll be mostly the plan. And again, this podcast is just for fun. Nothing serious. Nothing needs to be taken to heart. This is all opinions, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Nothing to be taken serious.
It's a good way to vent. It's a good way to vent.
Yeah. So what was it you brought up yesterday?
So definitely something that I think everybody can relate to is traffic.
Yeah.
Just pet peeves about traffic.
Yeah.
You recently started driving.
Yeah.
So you're going to get to experience this firsthand now.
So for context, I have never driven in my entire life. I'm 19, so I've never driven for 18 years in my entire life because I had no one to teach me. So recently I got a new Jeep that I'm sharing with one of my younger siblings, and the most I use it for is to get to and from my house and to get to my job. And I've been driving for about a month now.
Okay.
And I'm still somewhat learning, but so
on the other side of that spectrum, I've been driving for about 21 years.
Yeah.
And just the experiences that I've had on the road, what you're going to experience at some point on the road. Hopefully you won't be one of the problems.
Yeah.
But there's plenty that I think that gets a lot of people upset and frustrated. I mean, everybody has pet peeves. I think some things on the road are more extensive than others.
Well, one thing you wanted to bring up on our way back here to record was people crossing the street.
Pedestrians.
Okay.
I understand to watch out for pedestrians. I get that it's everybody's job to do their due diligence and watch out for pedestrians. But I've never agreed with pedestrians have the right of way.
Okay, and why is that?
I put a lot of the responsibility on the pedestrian as far as like walking out into a road.
Yeah.
Because a pedestrian's never going to win that battle when it comes in contact with a moving vehicle. A pedestrian will never win that fight.
Yeah.
And yeah, the person driving should be aware that there's people walking along the side of the road and they should obey, traffic signs and speed limits.
That's why we have like slow down stops and like crosswalks and all that.
Yeah.
Or like slow down lanes for school areas.
Right. But it almost is it's exonerating the pedestrian from any responsibility of watching out for themselves, stepping out into the street.
So that they can't be like held liable for anything.
Right. Where, there's been situations where someone's just cruising down the road, they're doing the speed limit, guy walking down the street decides he needs to cross the street, doesn't even look, steps out and gets clipped by that car, and the guy driving the car, that's not really his fault. He was aware of the pedestrian. He saw him. He was going the proper speed. You know, and that guy just turns out into the street.
Okay. So, because of my lack of driving experience and me being someone who's walked a lot, what my thing is too, because I am one of those people that you're talking about where, when I cross the street, in my mind, I think it's either the same speed or somewhat slower or faster. But if I cross the street at a diagonal angle versus just horizontal, and that's one of your things you hate.
Get it over with.
Yeah, get it over with.
Crossover, just it's frustrating enough that we have to watch out for every single person crossing your path.
Yeah.
It's another thing when you're waiting an extra. I mean, I know it's only seconds we're talking about here, but it's like following somebody walking in a car.
Yeah, I get that. Because it's not like with a car where you can just beep at the other driver and tell them to speed it up.
Right.
You know, with a person, it's just like, well, this fucker's stuck at this speed, and now you can't like go any faster. And who knows what you were planning to do today? Maybe you had somewhere to go, or maybe you're just trying to get back home.
Right. And a lot of times it's not that anybody's in any hurry to get somewhere.
Yeah.
And technically, yes, it's not going to be that much more of a wait, you know, with the exception of going to, you know, some local, we'll call them local stores, will remain nameless. But at some point, the flow of pedestrian traffic has to stop, or you're never going to move.
Yeah.
You know, and it's different at different, you know, downtown here, it's not too bad, but as I said, at certain stores, it is almost a constant flow of pedestrians in and out of the store. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times you can actually sit in front of the store in your car for, you know, 2-3 minutes.
2-3. Yeah.
And as a pedestrian too, though, because, you know, eventually you park and you go in the store yourself.
Yeah.
Do you really want to cross that, assuming, they'll stop?
Yeah.
Because that, to me, I mean, I'm a little more aware. I stop and I look, and I at least wait for them to like acknowledge that they see me and maybe give me a wave or wave their hands around or honk or flash their lights or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's not safe to just, the car will stop, because you're going to be the one hurt pretty bad if it doesn't.
And another thing I've been told is somehow rude, which I still have yet to see how, but I just guess it is. But when you're a pedestrian crossing the street and there's a car, let's say it pulls up to a stop sign or a light or whatever, and they wave at you to cross, is it that much more rude to decline and tell them to just go ahead and cross themselves first, or to just go ahead and do it and just cross in front of them? Because in my mind, I'm always, as a pedestrian, I'm always in my mind thinking everyone has somewhere to be. So if you slow them down, you're the asshole no matter what. So in my mind, I'm thinking I'll just let this guy cross or drive off, and then I'll cross when there's no cars behind him, because that way no one's having to wait for me to cross.
I think if the person driving the car has waved you or said go ahead, I think that's in your best interest to go ahead and do it, because they're already acknowledging that you need to cross the street.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're not in that big of a hurry to let you cross. Mm-hmm. And also, you know, at that point, that car is stopped.
Yeah.
So I think it's more. I mean, I consider that's pretty aware. That's pretty responsible on the driver's part. But
like he's kind of already stopped, and he's like, well, I'm already at this point, so you might as well cross.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, I know, but it's like I don't also want to make you wait any longer, you know.
Yeah.
And I do when I do cross, I do at least pick up the pace, and I try to get across as fast as I can.
Yeah. Don't hang out in the middle of the road.
Yeah. Or don't like get on your phone and like walk at the most brisk snail pace as possible.
And now obviously a lot of this stuff doesn't apply to if there's some old lady or old man crossing the street, obviously you're going to have an adjustment as far as, how long you expect to wait, and, if you're going to if you're going to react poorly and yell and scream or whatever. But, for the most part, it's only seconds, but it's also, I think, a little bit more, and not that all the responsibility should be on the pedestrian, but I think some more responsibility should be on the pedestrian, because you have to look out for yourself first. And to just assume well, it's a crosswalk, so the cars are just going to stop. I could just see that ending poorly for many people.
Well, it's like it's the most not stereotypical, but it's that same premise with those ads or any spokesperson type stuff, where they mention there's all these rules. They have a set of rules for pedestrians. Obviously, it's not just go walk around the world, do what you want. But they give out all these rules, look left and right, make sure you know where you're at, make sure you know where the crossing signs are and everything. Even pedestrians have to pay attention to some signs. Hey, this street here, they can go 40 to 50 miles. I should be a little careful when I cross, because I might be completely destroyed by a small, the smallest vehicle ever. Going at a bullet speed. But it's, they have all these rules, but even then, they still ignore them they're just meant to be there, they have no purpose to be there.
I'll be the first to say too. I think a lot of stuff in traffic and the roads and stuff, it doesn't just fall on pedestrians either. That's just one of the many things I've noticed over the years of driving, and a lot of people do stupid stuff in cars too. So that's the other thing when I say a pedestrian could kind of watch out for themselves a little more too, is you can't just assume that the guy driving that car or truck or whatever's coming up isn't going to be some idiot or moron who is not paying attention, or going to just he has no, he doesn't value human life enough to care. So
well, he's not paying in the street, so I shouldn't either.
So it's still a both parties, I think, have responsibilities. But I think too much is put kind of on the driver. Because I think the car's not gonna, the person driving the car is not gonna die from hitting a person.
He's not.
There's a good chance the person, depending on the speed of the car, you're either gonna die or be horribly maimed for.
Possibly paralyzed.
Whatever's gonna happen. But I think the more extreme of the consequence maybe requires more of the responsibility.
And it's they just don't teach that enough, I guess, either. The importance of just when you crash or whatever, It's the basic they'll give you is just wear a seatbelt, and it's okay, but what could I possibly do in order to lessen the damage to everyone else, if I'm about to hit a guy. That's another thing too, is it's all they make it out to be all the driver's fault, but if you look at it from the standpoint, let's say a deer, when those things are constantly, obviously we don't live out in the Midwest, so we don't come across them at all, but or I don't know if there's any deer around here.
No, there are, but
well, I mean,
I know what you're saying, though.
We live
within the city,
we live more mid-south.
But it's not in the city too. It's not as
we live in a city, but when a deer jumps out, it's just a lot of the times it's out of nowhere, and it's always out at night too. Never out in the light, but when you hit a deer, it's a lot of the times they'll come out just fine, but your car will be terribly destroyed. Where it's like it's a complete opposite with a person where the person's completely messed up and possibly dead, and your car comes out completely fine with a couple scratches.
Right.
And it's just like, I don't know, it's just like the difference being is, I don't know. I mean, I guess you could find a person who's like weight and size of a deer. Like test that out.
Well, I mean, I'm a larger fella.
Yeah.
I'd like to think that if I got hit by a car, that I would do more damage to that car than, say, a smaller average person. But
okay, so we'll take you and me as an example. So Ben is a much large fellow, like more than I am, because he's also like a lot older and wiser than me. But
I'm not saying that age affects weight, but just saying.
I am a small, petite Mexican man, or child, whichever way you want to put it, with my immaturity. But I weigh like nothing compared to this man, so he could easily fling me across a room without any trouble. So if you, and we'll set the average, let's say 30 miles to, let's say your truck, or should we use my Jeep as an example?
Well, I think it's all about whichever. I mean, use the truck. It don't matter. But
well, it's like I feel like a vehicle set is also a determination factor, because like you could get hit by a semi or like a Prius, you know?
Yeah, true. But I think when you're talking about us as far as our different sizes, yeah, I think I'd cause more damage to the car.
But you also
but I
might.
Also think
I
that
feel
the
like
end result for you and me is going to be the same.
No, see, that's where I think it'll be different, because I see my flimsy, thin arms cracking under like the smallest pressure.
Yeah, but we're not talking about getting into a boxing match.
Yeah,
we're talking about.
But what I'm saying is like you have all these, we'll say layers like an ogre's onions.
Okay, so
Shrek reference.
If you haven't picked up on it yet on the podcast, I'm a fat person.
No, we're
and
not.
That's what he's trying to say.
No,
and it's fine.
No.
I'm okay with it. I know.
What I'm saying is like.
You mean more like to cushion the blow?
Yeah, you have something to cushion, whereas you can clearly see where all my bones and feel where they are.
I'm not saying that you would
come out worse.
That you would. I mean, I think you might. Yeah, because of that reason, you might come out more broken, so to speak. But I don't think that. It's not like I'm going to take a hit from a truck and just be like, "Oh man, it's a good thing I'm overweight, because if I was like Christian, I'd be dead."
Yeah.
You know, and it all depends. I mean, there's so many factors in it where you could just, if you hit your head, it's not really going to matter.
Yeah, no.
Anything about that, that's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
But no, I see what you're saying. I mean, as far as it works both ways, I would probably do more damage to the car and have less damage to myself than you do less damage to the car and more damage to yourself.
Yeah.
By taking a hit from a 30-mile-an-hour vehicle, and that's just
the worst damage I can see myself doing as a car is just breaking the windshield. You know.
Yeah.
And it's like not even completely. I'd probably like crack it a bit.
I mean, I kind of take a little pride in the fact that, man, if someone is going to hit me, I hope I do the most damage I can to that car.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to bust a radiator, but.
Well, it's like like those scenes like in action movies with superheroes where, for some reason, the superhero, like whether or not they know about their abilities, but they'll stand in the middle of a road and have a car just ram them straight on, and you just see them like kind of like dent themselves inside, you know, and it's just like that sort of stuff is just like, it's kind of like you imagine that stuff happening for real. I don't know.
Well, it's kind of like, you ever notice how, and a lot of this is more, you see it more in movies than anything, is someone always seems to like roll off the hood of the car.
Yeah.
Whereas when you see like videos that have happened in real life,
the guy.
A lot of people just kind of go right under the car.
They either go under the car or like halfway,
or get launched.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not like
push.
Yeah, like you see them like kind of in the movies and stuff. They just roll off the car, and it's like, oh, that was close. Real life, it's like you just got your leg crushed by that truck.
Yeah.
You're not walking away from this.
And there's also those videos on YouTube where there was this, I don't know if it was a series, but a long time ago, I saw these guys. They were obviously fucking around with the car, but what they did was, I guess they were just fucking around, or they were recording for something. But the one guy, he was just driving down, like not even super fast. He was going like 10, 15, and the other guys would like try to roll off the top of the car. So they would, as soon as the car gets to them, they jump and they kind of like try to like tuck and roll onto the hood and like roll around over the car. But they would never get past the hood. They would jump, land on the hood, either hit the windshield or like just hit the hood on their backs and stuff, and then just roll off onto the front of the car, you know? And luckily no one got ran over completely, but the worst they got was like a couple of them broke their wrist and like dislocated their shoulders. But they essentially they were just like trying to do action rolls, but all they did was just like land onto the hood.
But see, this is there's no sympathy for that.
Yeah, there's no sympathy
because it's like
they knew what they were doing. They were doing it on purpose, and they recorded it obviously for people to watch.
Which I mean, I guess, but
and I mean, thank you to those people because it gives me entertainment.
Well, and yeah, and I that leads into a whole nother genre and category of stupid things people do. I know I've seen this a few times on the internet and I mean, I hate that I'm even going to say this expression, but when people ghost ride their whip. You've seen that?
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah.
Where they put it in neutral, let's roll it, and they hop out and like dance or run around and then get back in the car. And I'm just like, you know, if something bad happens to you, you kind of asked for it.
Well, it's like they think they're being safe when they do it in a huge lot with no one around, just them and their friends and just one car. And it's like, maybe there's like a few light posts around because it's like out in front of a mall or something. And they either get there like super early in the morning when no one's there or super late at night. And it's like, okay, you're taking all these steps, but you know what's the one main step you could do? Just not do it. Because it's like, who knows? It's like, okay, no one got hurt, but now you have a fucked up car.
But to me too, you want to establish, why am I doing this?
Yeah. Like, who am I doing this for?
Is this really...
Like, I'm not, like... And
just to post on the internet.
Yeah.
Is this really...
worth it?
Worth... And to say that, well, we took every precaution, like, you got out of a moving vehicle.
Yeah.
That's not taking precautions.
Yeah.
Okay? And I mean, there's plenty of people have done it successfully, from what I could tell.
Yeah.
But I still come back to the same question as to why.
Yeah, they're more of like a small margin, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, hey, what is it? What are they called? Not like Evil Knievel. Daredevils.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, there's a ton of daredevils and they're like, hey, I survived. And it's like, what about the other guys who died before you, like doing this same stunt or anything else? And
daredevils that, I mean, show me a daredevil who doesn't have multiple broken bones in his past, you know, multiple injuries, you know, body getting cut open somewhere, you know, just show me
near death experience.
Yeah, and I mean, and that goes in the term daredevil. I understand that, but I don't consider, especially with, I also need to understand, and this is just a whole other part of it. I need to understand what in the heck ghost riding my whip. Explain the terminology too.
Yeah. the ghostwriting part is like no one's obviously driving, and your whip being the vehicle, and you riding it being like riding waves on a surfboard. So pretty much it's almost self-explanatory if you don't if you know some terminology on the internet, but you being a normal human being who goes out and
Somewhat normal.
someone who goes out and socializes normally with normal people, you know, basic human interactions.
I mean, I can say honestly, I've never had the urge to ghost ride my whip.
Yeah. So it's like when you hear that term, you're like, what does that mean? If you never heard it before, and then someone shows you a video, and you're just thinking, first off, I still don't know what the word means, but now I think, why did you show me this idiot doing this?
I mean, I guess it's shorter than saying, hey, I'm gonna get in my car, drive it real slow, put it in neutral, hop out, get on it, and ride it while no one's driving. Yes, it's shorter to say ghost riding my whip.
Yeah.
But
it's cool to see that in action movies, but to see someone actually do it, I'm like, you're an idiot.
But why would you? I mean, why would they even do it in an action movie?
Well, because,
Have you seen a movie with that?
no, I mean, maybe something with Steven Seagal.
I mean, I've seen people jump out of. I've seen like in a movie where people dive out of a car as they're crashing it into something to blow it up or
Yeah.
something like that. But that does, to me, that doesn't classify as what these people are doing. Number one, in the movie, that car is going like 70 miles an hour,
Yeah.
and they're this is their last effort to blow this up, and so to me, it's a totally different set of circumstances.
What's that movie with the guy who does the split on the two trucks?
That's Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Yeah, Jean-Claude Van
I
Damme.
can't remember the movie, but
I mean,
I
he
know.
didn't ride on top of it, did he?
I don't know if that was.
Or if he did, he wasn't acting like he was surfing on the waves.
He didn't. Yeah, he wasn't doing it hoping. Man, I hope this gets a lot of likes on Instagram.
Yeah.
And,
Well, also that movie is what, from 80 something, 90?
yeah, but I think it was a stunt. Obviously, it was
Yeah.
a cool stunt, but I don't think he did it.
And it was like for a training montage or something like that.
Yeah, I don't think he did it with the same intentions that these guys are doing this.
Yeah. Well, it's like you kind of want to find out who even thought of this idea.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
and I guess.
Well, it's also like, how do you just come up with that? You know, how do you just think, hey, like, hey, you ever just wanted to? All right, guys, listen to me real quick. Don't think I'm an idiot first. All right, so let's go to a parking lot one night when it's real empty, and we'll get my SUV or truck or whatever, and we'll put it in neutral, and we'll find like a sloped area with like a downhill, and we'll just let it roll, and I'll like surf on the top, and you guys record me.
Well, think about this too, because a lot of the videos you've seen on the internet, a lot of them take place on like residential streets.
Oh, those are the worst.
And I'm like, to me, you know, they say we took all the precautions. I'm like, did you?
Yeah.
Because you went and talked to everybody on the street to stay off the street, and hey, your car might get damaged if you leave it parked on the street, and
Yeah.
you know, and so I don't know. It's to me, I guess it's good video. I mean, I know you particularly like it when they mess up because
Yeah, it's entertaining.
I mean, it is somewhat entertaining, and you just the whole time you see them mess up, it's like, way to go, idiot. I mean,
Like, I don't mind the stuff where when someone does something intentional and they know it can either go bad or like amazing when they like get it right. You know, like doing a backflip off of like a 3-story building and landing perfectly.
Right.
Without getting hurt. It's like, yeah, it's amazing to see that. But what's also amazing is to see you mess that up because you knew what you were getting yourself into. Like, and this isn't like spontaneous too. Like the process and time you had to back out of this is immeasurable. Like, you had, who knows, like maybe a day or two where you guys thought of doing this. So you talk about it, you lead up to it slowly. Your friends are like, oh man, you can't wait to do that. And you're like, yeah, I can't wait. And it's like, can't wait to do it. Where do you want to do it? You have to find somewhere. Not only that, but you have to find somewhere to do this. So you're like, all right, well, you want to do this at Jeremy's house? No, his house isn't big enough. Let's go to some apartment buildings. And it's like, okay, now you still got time to back out. You still got time. And it's like, all right, so we'll do this tomorrow. And it's like, yeah. And then, all right, who else is going to be there? You still got time to back out. It's like, oh, we'll get so-and-so and so-and-so so we can get different angles.
Yep.
Still got time, back out. And then you guys are all meeting up somewhere to pick everyone up. Still got time. You're on your way there, driving. Still got time.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, you get to the location. You still have time to stop. You're not on the roof yet. You're not anywhere near what you're about to do. Yeah. And then once you reach that point and you're like, oh man, now I can't back out. I'm already here and I'm about to do it.
And this, you can back out up until the moment you actually decide to jump off that roof.
Once you're in the air.
And that's where a lot of times, like, you end up getting like 7 or 8 people out here to come see this, and they're recording it. So you have that extra pressure adding on to, man, I really got to do this.
Yeah.
So that doesn't help, but
yeah. Well, it's like we've spent all this time building up to it. I can't back out now, or I'll never hear this down. And it's like I'd rather deal with the being made fun of over possibly breaking my legs.
Or worse.
Yeah, or worse.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there, and I think that's...
I'd rather deal with the belittling from everyone other than, possibly
It's definitely for some people, though, that's a deal breaker. That's something that they can't say no to that attention they might get from their friends or stuff like that. But I think it is a lot of time. It is internet gold when people, and mess up stuff like that, and you just you kind of laugh, and part of your human side's like, man, that sucks for that person, but also part of your human side's like, well, I wouldn't have done that, so.
And I guess that's something we can bring up too about myself is, me and everyone knows me at work. By the way, if you haven't learned already, me and Ben work together at the same job. But one thing everyone knows about me, I don't know if my family cares or they know much about it, or they've come to learn, but I am a very I wouldn't say not a non-forgiving person, but I'm very, how would you describe it, evil?
I don't know if evil's the term either, because I know you pretty well. I don't think you have a lot of compassion for stupidity.
I don't.
But it also extends over into
normal people.
Just general bad things happening. You still don't have compassion for, even when it's not necessarily stupidity involved. When you just don't have.
We'll just say I'm a very pessimistic or nihilistic person, but the reason I get so much enjoyment out of these videos is, again, the stupid people ones are my favorite ones, because no matter what, everyone can agree they won't feel bad for them. But when other terrible things happen in the world, I also don't have as much sympathy either. I won't necessarily go and attack the person and call them idiots.
I think you have. You have no problem acknowledging
that they're terrible.
That something's bad.
Yeah.
It's just the level of, I guess, sympathy or compassion for that certain situation is not going to be. It's just not going to, no one's going to see how much it bothers you, or how.
Yeah. No one's going to come to me for reassurance or.
Right. It's not going to be. They're not going to come talk to you about it because I got to see how Christian feels about it, because I can tell you how he feels about it. He doesn't really care.
He's probably heartbroken just as I am.
Now, me personally, just from as long as I've known Christian, which has not been too terribly long, but I worked with him a lot.
Long enough.
But I think he's more. I think he's more compassionate than he knows, but it still isn't enough to where it's like, you know, this is the person you want to talk to when you have a real serious life problem. And not to say that you don't talk to Christian about stuff like that, because it's always good, if, you know, because we talk all the time at work, you know, and it's just good to have somebody to have a conversation with. Not necessarily that you're looking for any sort of, hey, I need reassurance or I need you to help me with this problem. More or less just to have someone to talk to.
Yeah. And I do try to keep a neutral stance on any subject, which is to say I don't know much of anything in life, so anything we bring up is my neutral stance. And we have those enlightening conversations where I still won't take a stance on a subject or a side, but I'll come out with a more better understanding of one side and another.
Yeah.
Like politics or whatever. And I try to keep that with anything, no matter how stupid the conversation.
Yeah.
And it's like, so when it comes to like sympathetic stuff, it's like I've growing up, I've just come desensitized to all that sort of stuff. And that's not to say it's not entirely my fault, but
right.
like a good bit of it is. But it's like growing up, when you watch a bunch of stuff or just listen and hear all these different things, you just come to a realization at a certain age where you're just like, oh, is this normal? You know? Do I have to care anymore if it happens again?
Well, and to not having compassion or not having sympathy or whatever, it's not everything you're measured on, and it's not. I don't know. It's a strange balance you got to find with, like when you say politics or stuff we talk about. We got to find that balance of opinion and fact.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and when you say you like to get the story from both sides, it's more or less you're going to end up making your own opinion, your own decision about it.
Yeah.
You know, but you still have to, you know, it's good to hear everybody else's opinion, so to speak, but it's also good to know the facts too.
Yeah.
And there's not much out there. I mean, in this day and age, it's really hard to trust
any facts.
Just about any news source. You know, you can't.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not gonna plug us with news sources or you know who I like or who you like.
We'll stay away from politics as much as we can on this show.
But still, it's, you know, not having compassion for people doing stupid things or just straight up bad things happening to people. You know, that doesn't affect your opinion that much as far as whether something's right or wrong, or you know, you still make those good decisions. You know, you can still make decisions based on what you know, what you've seen, what you've discussed, and the facts that you know.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't know. This is one of those things, I guess. But yeah. I can't really add more to that. That's just pretty much it.
I think we're getting too serious.
Yeah, let's go.
I think we're getting too serious right now.
Yeah.
This is going to turn into more of a self-help kind of podcast if we're not careful.
Yeah. People go out and kill yourselves right now, so I condone suicide.
I do not. That is a negative from my end.
All right, so we have two opposing sides. That's the start. So, one thing I do want to bring up is they're not here right now, but we'll bring them up for now so people can get a gist of what they'll be like when they eventually appear on this show. But we have a friend. Should we just leave him at a first name basis?
Yeah, that's fine.
we have a friend named Colton. Now, he's a somewhat lovable goof, and a goof is like, a goof in a sense where he's a smart kid, but when it comes to basic
common sense,
he has a hard time understanding what he needs to do. And
I mean, to Colton's credit, he's in school to. I think he's doing forensics. He's in school to be a forensics investigator.
He originally was in for mechanical engineering,
and now he's changed majors. But he's a smart kid to do a lot of this stuff. But he's lacking in the common sense department. So,
And the reason we bring him up today is because he is also. This show originally was planned out to be 3 main hosts.
Right.
But right now he is currently on vacation, we should say. So the reason why is just me and Ben today is because he is not here to be with us to make it a 3-man group. But he is essentially one of our other main co-hosts.
Yeah, and he had a lot to do with the idea of this podcast, eventually building into what it is today. Not that it's much of anything yet, but
hopefully we can keep going with this.
Colton is, some of the stuff we'll be discussing over hopefully the next few months and potentially years, as far as the topics on this show, is we're gonna get into stuff like movies and more specific things too. Like Colton is a Star Wars nerd. I mean, absolute Star Wars nerd. Usually tells me stuff I have no idea.
He goes
and I love Star Wars.
He goes on all the message boards and wikis and
and I just there are there's you have all your main characters in Star Wars, but Colton can tell you who that guy was walking by behind Darth Vader.
Yeah.
He can tell you where that guy's from, what he
his troop number and
all
platoon.
That stuff. He can tell you everything about him, and Colton will definitely have to be present when we do any of our movie talks, and it also kind of includes Marvel and anything comic book related, especially any of the Marvel movies, stuff like that.
If you haven't found out, we're huge Marvel fans.
Me and Colton are, for sure, because we've seen all of them. Christian, however, he claims to be a Marvel fan, but let me just ask Christian outright. How many Marvel movies have you seen in their entirety?
I've seen about, I would say, either 3 or 2.
3 or 2.
So, one being Iron Man 2, Doctor Strange, and one of the Hulk movies.
Okay, so just to touch on this a little bit.
No, well, hold on. Before that, does Fantastic Four count as Marvel?
I think so.
It is? Are they part of the Marvel franchise, or?
I was so disappointed in the Fantastic Four movies. I'm not sure. We'll check that.
All right.
We'll fact check that.
We'll bring it up at another time.
But
when we have
as
our
far
Marvel
as the other 3 movies you told me, there's only one movie in those 3 that I consider a good Marvel movie.
And which one would that be?
Doctor Strange.
Okay, yeah.
The Hulk movies.
I did enjoy Doctor Strange.
The Hulk movies were horrible. They did not get better until he became part of the Avengers.
Yeah. Bruce Banner.
And then, for some reason, Iron Man, the first one, was good.
Yeah.
Then they made Iron Man 2, which made me question the future of the franchise itself. Because Iron Man 2 I thought was horrible.
Yeah.
I literally finished watching the movie and I just stared at the screen going, what just happened?
Yeah.
Then Iron Man 3 came out. I think it recovered a lot better. I think it did better. But I just don't... To me, the story in the second Iron Man movie was really weak.
Yeah. That was the guy with the electric whips, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And we're talking about Iron Man. We're not, I don't know how else to say it. That movie just.
Didn't it open up with them at a racetrack, and then
I think
the guy attacks out of nowhere?
I don't think it opened like that. I think that was his first attack. I think it built to that, but that's when he first came out as. I can't remember what his name was.
What was his motive though?
I know he was.
Was he like angry at Tony? Or?
He was angry at Tony Stark. It had something to do with the technology that they were.
Oh, so they were almost like partners or something?
I think it was something like that.
Again, I haven't seen the movie since I was like 10.
Well, I'm really digging deep too, since I hated the movie and only saw it the one time.
Yeah.
And now every time I see it on TV, I just want to like delete that channel. But
so, like, you say you enjoyed the first one, right?
yes.
So when you saw the first one and the second one came out, did you go in with high expectations?
I was excited. I mean, I liked the movie.
Yeah.
I liked Iron Man. I didn't go in there with any like crazy high expectations.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, because of the second one, I went in to watch the third one with very cautious expectations.
Yeah.
Like, man, I hope they don't botch this one up too.
Or you went in like, you didn't go in with like, why did they even bother with a third? You were just like, let's hope this one's good.
Let's hope they can make better of this.
Let's hope they can fix it, scrounge it up. All right, yeah.
So if you ask me, in my personal opinion, I'm sorry to anybody out there that likes the second Iron Man movie. As far as I'm concerned, there's only 1 and 3. 2 is just it's a side note. It's a footnote in what has become a huge movie franchise.
Now, the reason... So I will say, I very much enjoyed Doctor Strange. Especially a lot of the visual effects. They were very well done. The choreography was very well with the movements and the action scenes with the fighting and all that.
Yeah.
It felt very natural. And a lot of the visuals, like, again, they didn't like take away too much from the movie or like separate themselves from it, because obviously the premise being these are like, what are they, like wizards or like monks? What are they considered again?
I think more monks than wizards.
Yeah, but they have magical powers and all this, and they're secret defenders of Earth,
monks.
and secret defenders of the Earth or whatever. Which, in my opinion, in my mind, I'm thinking like, how many times have I heard that from someone else?
Right.
They're a defender of Earth. It's like, what about the other 5? It's like, just be a team, which they did with the Avengers.
Which, yeah.
But Doctor Strange wanted to hang out by himself with the other monks.
I can relate to that though. I'm not a people person either.
Yeah, but they were more understanding. Well, he also like took over the role as like head monk.
Yeah.
But I also...
You think there was ever any dissension with that? You think some of the other monks were like, hey man...
Well, yeah, I feel like they were probably like, why does the new guy...
I've been following this faith for 20 years, and then this guy, gets hurt.
This fucking schmuck. Like, yeah, he defeated Dormammu.
He shows up, and now he's the head monk.
Yeah, well, like, I get the fact that he's the guy who beat Dormammu, but technically, Dormammu's fine. All he did was just, like, get him stuck in this time loop. Yeah. Like, and whether or not he could have broken out, we don't know.
We'll find out.
Yeah, with Doctor Strange too. But because they don't really explain how powerful Dormammu is. All we know is like he's just very dangerous, and I guess like he controls an army or whatever. But in that movie, it's one scene that's always stuck with me and made me actually laugh, like audibly, was when he first meets, he's not the main, I guess he's somewhat the main villain in the movie. He doesn't look like Liam Neeson, but that main guy that I don't know his name in the movie or the actor's name.
I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's something we'll have. I mean,
like I know he's also in this new game that's coming out, Death Stranding, or it's already out. But they use his face in that game with like CG capture moves and all that. But the main guy, whatever his name is, the one scene, the one like human interaction he has with Doctor Strange, like just down to earth, like you forget that they even have any powers or that they're even fighting. Mm-hmm. But when they discuss his name, Doctor Strange,
yeah,
and he says, "Your name's Doctor? That's strange." And he's like, "No, that's not it." I thought that was hilarious and well written, because this guy obviously doesn't care who you are at a certain point, but if you ever met Doctor Strange in person, if he exists, maybe he does. Mm-hmm. I can see that same interaction going for anyone else, where he tells you his name, and you're like, "Your name's Doctor?" And that's strange. And he's like, "No, that's not it." It's like, it's a very casual conversation, but very realistic. And the reason I like that scene is because of how well they wrote it into the movie, and just they take you out of this world, put you back into the real world, and then throw you back in.
Yeah.
And that was just really well written.
Well, with that being said,
yeah,
I think what we've gotten to a roundabout way is Colton's going to be kind of our movie go-to. He enjoys movies a lot. Not to say that he doesn't have opinions on a lot of other things too, but he will be joining us at some point in the future on our podcast. Yeah.
We'll try to make this a weekly thing too, but again, because we're all adults and we have responsibilities and jobs, there's only so many times we can get together.
And something we might try to do is we'll try to record some episodes, maybe multiple episodes in a day, so we'll have something to keep putting out there for everybody to hear. I guess the other person that's going to be on the show at some point, sometime, he might not be with us as much because he is going to be going back to college at the end of August, I think.
For summer.
But so for the next couple months in the summer, he might be with us. His name's Addison. He's real good friends with Colton. Maybe too good.
Yeah.
But he's going to provide another perspective for us. He won't be on the show as frequent as me or Christian or even Colton as much, but that's just somebody else we'll have on the show. And as far as special guests go, we'll announce that when the time comes, I think, because right now we don't really...
We have plans for some.
We have some plans. We don't have any firm commitments yet or anything like that. But
we don't have confirmation from them.
Right.
And one last thing, too, is these movies that we talk about, obviously, I have to catch up. So that's not to say I'll stay uninformed. Like, I won't stay like that forever. I will go see these movies so I can add actual proper opinions to it, factual opinions, instead of just spouting out my rear. But other than that, it's like that's also things. And again, if we ever say things like we get facts wrong, it's okay to let us know, but just know we won't care either.
Yeah, and this is all based on opinion. It's kind of how we feel. It's a good form of venting. It's a good form of just talking with your buddies and getting a different opinion and perspective on things. And I think, like Christian said at the top of this, just if you got any comments or anything, you can leave it in the comment section. Wherever we post this, you can also email it.
Yeah.
Do you have the email address?
Yeah. I'll just, I can't read it off the top of my head, but I'll just put it in the description.
Okay, we'll post it in the description. Is there anything you want to say in closing?
Well, I think we still have a bit of time to go before we end this one.
Okay,
we can end with like a lighthearted topic.
Okay, so
we can bring back the buff gorilla question.
The buff. I mean, this is okay. I'll let you do this, but I'm going to give them kind of a premise into this.
All right.
This is one of Christian's.
And checks in as well.
This is one of. We won't touch those movies. We want to get into this question that Christian asked us at work, and
I've got multiple opinions too.
We have. Yeah, we always try to do this at work. We always try to give each other some topic to to discuss, or even what do you think about this, and how do you feel about this, and some of them are. Sometimes they can be more serious, but sometimes they're pretty jovial, like
most of the time.
What Christian's about to ask right now.
Spew out of my mouth.
So I'll let him ask, and then we'll have a little bit of a discussion about it.
So I've asked multiple people if it's possible even at all, and if it is, I feel like it's probably possible, but silverback gorillas are very well built and large, and they're very muscular naturally. So I've asked several people, I've just asked this question whether or not they think it's possible. But for a scientific research of people to have, who knows, maybe multiple silverback gorillas, and to train them in the form of bodybuilders to grow somewhat larger and be more muscular, because I think that some gorillas could probably be bigger than they naturally are, because they're just naturally born that size. So in my mind, I thought that maybe they can keep growing, but no one's tried it yet. So I've asked my dearest friends if they think it would be possible and if they would like to see that. Now Ben, he shot this down instantly, called me an idiot.
I'll explain why.
We'll go on.
Okay, well, my first response question to his question was, why? Because I just don't see any purpose into why we would do this.
Well, my counter to that is, why do we study to see how smart some animals are, if in the end it kind of doesn't matter, you know?
Yeah, but then you're saying why are we want to make gorillas lift weights?
To see if it's possible. You know? It's like,
no, I don't know. because I don't understand. Usually, I think when they study things like animals like that, people a lot of times they study that to see, like, to work out theories like, is this where we came from? Is this what?
Yeah.
Is this what what human life extended from? As opposed to
some guy walking into the office.
Now, let's see some guy. Let's go watch these gorillas lift weights. See if they can figure out how. See if they can get stronger. Which, I can solve the mystery for you right now.
What if we teach them, though, the concept of bodybuilding, and they know?
Why?
Because it'd be an interesting study to see if they understand the importance of weightlifting for humans. And
do you know what a silverback gorilla could do to you right now without ever lifting weights?
Rip me in half.
Okay. Why? Why would we want to even attempt? To me, it seems like a pointless study.
Yeah.
Did anyone? I know you asked Colton. I know you asked Addison. Did either one of them agree?
They also asked why.
Okay. Didn't Addison
they've all asked what reason would it be needed, or
I mean, just to study, basically, is what you're saying.
I'm saying for study purposes.
But didn't Addison think it would be kind of? I think his words, he said it would be kind of cool.
Yeah, he said it would be very cool to see if it's possible, but he still wanted to ask why. You know.
So I think the main point we've come down to is
it's a cool thought, but
why?
But why?
But here's the thing too. A lot of times to do research and studies,
I need to explain why.
No, you're gonna need money. So
well, in order to get money, I also have to explain why I'm doing this.
Yes, but I'm saying, so if you go to explain why you're doing this, which has not happened yet, but
it's cool.
But you're gonna have a hard time for anybody to say, yeah, I'll donate to that scientific study, because it would be cool to see silverback gorillas lifting weights.
Yeah, I do get that.
I mean, I guess we could probably look up, because I know they've probably been studied before as far as how strong they are and like what can they do, because they've probably picked up, you know, branches or large rocks or something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe there's some sort of study to say, well, they're already picking up this, which this rock weighs an average of so and so many pounds. Can that be? And then again, too, you run the risk of, why would you want to make this animal more deadly?
Yeah, I guess so.
Because let's say you're the guy that's going out there to give them their protein shakes so they can lift weights.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, Mr. Silverback gets mad, and there's nothing you're gonna be able to do.
Yeah. See, another thing that led up into that question as well was, now, we talked about this actually.
Me and you?
Yeah, you, me, and Colton. I think Colton was there. But we talked about the, what is that show y'all brought up where warriors...
Deadliest Warrior.
Deadliest Warriors, where they get some subject or different class of warriors.
Yeah, two soldiers from the past.
They dissect their armor, their weapons, their fighting style, their history, all that stuff. And do they take actual persons, or do they do it all through CGI, the actual battle?
They do some experiments in their lab as far as like the weapons they used.
Yeah.
They'll have an expert at that weapon, like one of them used a bow and arrow.
Yeah.
And then what they'll do is they'll hang a pig carcass, and they'll shoot the pig carcass with the bow and arrow. And they say that the pig carcass is the closest thing to the human body and what an arrow would do to the human body. So they'll shoot the arrow through the pig carcass. Then they have a medical examiner there, and he'll go tell you exactly what would happen had this been
human body.
If this would have hit the person in their chest, what it would have done.
Their legs, their arms.
Yeah,
and they also explain what the weapon was specifically meant for.
Right.
Like they would use this weapon to go for your arms, and then they would lead up with this weapon.
Right.
And it's and that's very interesting. And again, like I said, I don't know if they do CGI fights, or they have two guys actually fight each other.
They do. It's 1,000 computer simulations.
Oh, okay.
After they explain, they did it in 4 levels of their primary weapon, their secondary weapon, and then they have a defense, and then it was either a long range weapon. It was basically 3 levels of weapons and a defense.
Yeah.
Then they put them in a simulation. They do 1,000 simulations, and whoever wins the most simulations is the one who wins that, as far as they call Deadliest Warrior.
Yeah. So,
but some of them were real close.
Yeah.
Some were split evenly enough to where, out of 1,000 matches, the guy who won only won 507.
Wow.
And it was, it was so close. It's really man, close. That could go either way.
So it's like if they actually fought, it'd be pretty well.
Do you think they could adapt this to?
Well, no. That's why I led up into that, because we talked about that. That also added on to my Buff Gorillas question, which was growing up, they had this show on either Discovery Channel or like the BBC or whatever, but it was essentially almost like a more, I guess, aimed toward a younger audience. I would say maybe like teenage to young adults.
Right.
But it would show on like after some animal documentaries, but it was its own show. It had, I think, a couple seasons, but I don't remember the name of the show. But what they did was that same concept is they took two animals, obviously highly dangerous towards people, and it was a range of bugs to insects to like reptiles to like the biggest stuffs like mammoths and like even prehistoric creatures. But with the concept was literally that, where one episode that I remember vividly as a child was they took a crocodile versus like a lion, and they wanted to know how a lion and a crocodile would do in that scenario if they ever met up and fought each other, because obviously there's not a lot of footage, if any, out there,
right.
or at least close up, you know? Because any footage you see of animals fighting is always from a distance, because obviously no one's going to get up to that, especially even a camera crew. So what they did was they would do tests where one of their main things was, one of their well-known things they did a lot on the show was they would build mechanical structures of that same creature that they have pitted against each other, and they would put them under different stress tests. So, and they would be very accurate too. So they would like create, one of them was they created the mouth and skull of a crocodile, obviously out of metal, and they have a pressure gauge and like different ways to stress test, and they would have it chomp down on different objects to see how powerful it could break through, or if at all.
Right.
And it was able to, like, you know, it breaks through like wood and like some bones, you know, like certain ones.
And that's disturbing in itself.
Yeah. And you realize, like, are crocodile jaws like really that powerful? And they're like, yes, because we have like actual people who study animals, and they come in and they tell us how strong these animals are actually, so we can get these tests right. And obviously because it's, they also have simulations in it. After they do all the testing, after another thing, this goes back, but one for the lion, they would build mechanical claws.
Right.
And they would have it slice through different objects as well. So like cow carcasses and pig carcasses to see how deep it could get, and like leather, you know, like wood, see how far it can dig deep, and if it can at all. And after they do all these testings for their different body parts, they then go into a key depth where they let you know what each animal is unique for. So like a crocodile, when it bites into something, it starts to turn. Right. So to explain, when a crocodile bites, like let's say a gazelle's leg, because their jaws are really strong, and once they bite down, they don't let go. As soon as they do that, they start to spin as fast as they can. For, I guess, like they can go like really fast, like a few miles per hour. But the reason they spin is so they can dislocate the legs and then slowly like rip it off the animal as it's underwater too. So it's drowning and trying to struggle as well. But it does this, it spins its legs, breaks it, and then rips it off, and then it starts to go into the animal. And one of the things they said was, well, what if it goes, that was one of the key things, is like, what if it does this to the lion? So they have these different simulations of the animals fighting over and over. I don't know if they do 1,000 like yours, but they do like a few, and they essentially make sure to obviously test it multiple times to see how it ends up, and then they look for the best one where the fight's as close as possible, and then they release the episode. But
do they take into account the different environments of these animals.
Yes. So sometimes
because obviously I think an alligator would have an advantage near a body of water.
So they do. That was one of the things in the simulation too, where, again, I think this was a final simulation that they released with. They were like, all right, this is the closest the battle is, but they put them in an environment that's very advantageous to both sides. So the crocodile will start in the water, and the lion will, like, again, it's like a story building too. But the lion will come down to get some water,
right?
And the crocodile would like jump at it, and what the lion did was it pulled it out of the water onto land. So the lion already had a grip on the crocodile already had a grip on the lion, but the lion knew to pull it out of the water. So as the crocodile is spinning, the lion's trying to fight it off.
Right.
So that was really interesting to see. But I think in that episode, the lion came out to win. Again, if anyone can find the name of the show, that'd help so much because I've had trouble finding it. But it was an interesting show to watch growing up because you realize, like, again, they do what it's like a child's favorite show because they think of that kind of stuff all the time. You know, it's like, what if so and so fought so and so, and it's like. So it's interesting to watch as a kid. It's like, oh, they answered that question for me.
Right.
You know? It's like, who would win?
I mean, personally, it's funny because I think about, when you first told me about this, I thought about the lion and the alligator, or crocodile, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't need anybody bothering us about which one's which.
Yeah.
One's a crocodile.
Whichever one lives in the Saharas, you know?
Whichever one is fighting the lion.
Yeah.
But I always looked at it like, I think... And this would have to come down to a certain level with these two animals. I mean, yeah, a lot of it's instinct, but they seem like the kind of animals that would look at each other, and they're both thinking the same thing, like,
yeah, I don't want to fight.
I'm not messing with this.
It's like, why do I have to fight for my food?
I'll wait for an antelope, as far as the crocodile goes. And the lion's like,
I can just chase down.
I'll just go over here and get a drink.
Yeah.
You know, but then again, too, they might not even... You know, they might have that more territorial, like the lion's like, I'm going to do what I want.
Yeah.
I'm going to go, he better not mess with me.
Especially if it's like the alpha male of the pack.
Yeah.
Lion.
But I think it'd be kind of funny, too, if there was a way to even measure that or even study that to see if, like, was the lion, and not that he would think, and you know, not that he's thinking in his head like I just spoke that, but if the lion just is smart enough to say, I'm not even going to tempt fate here.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to get involved.
Like, maybe he knows what the crocodile's capable of.
Yeah,
you know,
like
and
he
doesn't
sees
want to
it,
take a
he
chance.
knows enough that this is a risky situation, and the crocodile himself thinks, I'm not dragging that thing into the water.
Yeah.
Because that's assuming I can get him into the water. So I think that'd be cool if that were some way to either measure that or study that or figure out, do these kind of thoughts go through their heads, or is it just kill or be killed? No gray area at all. Just a fine line. If he comes over here, I'm biting his leg.
Yeah. Yeah. And the reason I brought that up was because as soon as we started talking about that, I thought
you had random silverback gorilla.
Yeah, I brought up the silverback gorilla again, and I thought, now what if we got a silverback gorilla to fight a brown bear?
But just to recap, folks, a lion and alligator on a show he watched made him think, man, we should see if silverbacks could lift weights.
Well, no, the silverbacks was first, lifting weights. Then
it made you think about the show.
Then you thought, about
Deadliest Warrior.
No,
and then
you and Colton were talking about Deadliest Warrior. Then I thought of the lion and crocodile. Okay. Then I thought of the silverback gorilla.
But
and
now
the bear.
Now you want to get into
what about a silverback gorilla versus a brown bear? Because I asked you too, which bear is the most dangerous?
And I think we discussed that if the brown bear is the equivalent of a grizzly bear, I don't think we ever really...
Are they the same, or...?
I think a grizzly is more...
Because I wanted the most dangerous bear versus a silverback.
Well, see, and that's where I think I remember hearing somewhere that a polar bear is more deadly than even a grizzly bear, but we'd have to search on that more. But whatever your worst, I mean...
Yeah, and obviously it doesn't have to be scientifically accurate. Like, again, it's a simulation. Like, it doesn't matter the environment, as long as these two creatures meet up and fight.
Like here's something. Like a bear's, for its size, it's fairly agile.
Yeah.
Okay? Obviously the gorilla's a lot more agile.
Yeah.
But, to me, one thing that the gorilla doesn't have...
You can swing from trees to trees, throwing pineapples.
But I'm like... but like the... Pineapples don't grow in trees. But, the bear, in my sense, has claws it uses.
Yeah.
Whereas the gorilla does not.
But...
It's more just a bludgeoning punch.
But gorillas have very large fangs.
I know, I'm getting there.
Yeah.
But I also think bears... I mean, to me, as far as gorillas and bears and which bite is more deadly, I think they're both about the same. Because I think the fact that they're both... Of course, I don't know if are gorillas really carnivores.
No, I think they're capable of being, but they prefer being herbivores.
Okay.
And the most meat or carnivorous thing they'll eat is probably like bugs and stuff.
So I think a bear's teeth and bone structure is going to be generally stronger because it does a lot of meat tearing and cracking bones off and stuff like that. Yeah. But again, I'm not even picking a side yet really because I think they both have distinct advantages.
Yeah.
But see, this is why we have these conversations, because I come back to the same question as why do I care?
Yeah, why do you care?
But it's fun to think about. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's fun to think about. But then you really start thinking about like, well, the bear would have an advantage maybe in height, but I mean, if you're basing it on all the different categories, the gorilla I think is going to be faster.
Yeah, definitely.
More agile.
And maybe he may not even get close to the bear. He might just keep his distance.
But see something else too, and I think this is something that I think gorillas and
I mean that's not to say
I guess primates in general have expressed or you've seen it over the years, is they've picked up things and used them as weapons.
Yeah.
So a gorilla could easily pick up a branch and start beating the crap out of the bear with it.
Maybe like it'll know to go for the face or something.
Yeah, like a rock.
Oh yeah.
Smash it in the head with a rock.
Yeah.
So I think that's something that would have to be taken into account. But that's hilarious though.
Yeah. Just a giant screaming monkey slamming a bear.
How about this?
Yeah.
For our first podcast, if we can get people to respond, let's put a poll out there.
All right, I'll put a poll. You can do that on YouTube. You can start polls.
Silverback gorilla. Now, do we want to do, grizzly bear or meanest bear possible?
I would say more realistically, I would say grizzly bear.
So let's say grizzly bear. And do we want to say silverback that lift weights or just the silverback?
Just a silverback.
Okay, so
because the silverback's the biggest and scariest of them all.
Okay,
as well.
So silverback gorilla, grizzly bear.
Yeah.
And we'll put a poll out there. Who do you think
would win?
And just an opinion based, and that's fine. It's not like there's nothing riding on it. It's not gonna choose whether or not.
No one's gonna get money out of this.
Yeah,
it's just for fun.
It's just for fun. It's just a fun poll. We'll see what people think.
Well, yeah. Well, and that's the thing I wanted out of this was because it's also great to see your guys' reactions because when I first brought it up, you and I think Colton just looked at each other and then you looked at me like, did he just say that? I was like, what? And you guys were like, what did you just say?
Well, I think it was just because I still think we had that same shock and awe kind of value as far as why would we need them? Like, why would we want to study? Why would they lift weights? I don't get. And the thing is, too, you got to be able to teach something like that to lift weights. you got to get out there and show them.
Yeah.
You know, lifting weights, and I'm thinking, who's going to do that? And you got to be able to lift the weights yourself.
Yeah. But see, you would teach them that this is what humans do because we are not naturally strong, so we need to get strong.
Some of us aren't.
Yeah. Or you could be the fucking Andre the Giant and just destroy people's skulls with your bare hands. Ant-Man. But yeah, that's just one of those discussions that I try to bring up as much as I can, just to alleviate any serious situation into delving it.
And it originally too, you know, when we had our idea for the podcast.
Yeah. I wasn't included at first.
Well, no, you're still a huge part of this for sure.
Well, I'm saying before I worked.
It was more a premise of, we always have stuff to talk about. We enjoy talking with each other at work. It'd be nice to be able to do this in a format, in a setting where it's not work.
Yeah.
You know, where we don't have to have a conversation, and then we get busy and we stop talking and we can't. And you know, it's nice to have this. If people, I hope people enjoy it. If we suck at it, so be it.
I'll keep going with it. Which
we'll probably just keep going with it. I don't really care, but I think I like the fact that we're going to be able to get together, discuss these things, kind of share a little bit with people as far as what our lives are like, and some of the stuff, not everything obviously, but some of the stuff that comes up in our conversations at work, and kind of just, it's kind of just the life we live, and it's, I think something too that it might benefit people is to see that you can have discussions about things, and in this world still be civil to each other, even though there's a disagreement. Yeah. Because I think we've had disagreements.
Yeah,
about topics, and now I said we're not going to get real political or real.
Yeah. But we've never had too many disagreements where we've been at each other's throats.
Right. And I don't even think we've had one where we've been at each other's throats.
Yeah.
I think it's more we both disagree on something.
Yeah.
But we both discuss our side of it.
Yeah.
But then I think even in the end of that, we come to an agreement of, I know how Christian feels about this. You know how I feel about this.
Yeah.
And we don't like hold it against that person for that.
Yeah, and to say the rest of the people we know are like that as well, it's hard to say that because a lot of people we know and discuss with, like our friends and stuff, they are not like that. They like to push onto the side of them being right.
Yeah, and with Colton and Addison, I think Colton's not going to argue something that he doesn't pretty much know is right. You know what I mean? Addison is kind of a button pusher.
Yes.
You know, and so that's something. But even knowing that, I still think in this setting he'll be a little bit more, toned down.
A little better than your best friend Michael.
Well, you know, we can
give context or not.
I don't even know if I want to give him credit of having a name, but
Nick. We'll say Nick.
You know, just this would be a good topic.
Okay.
Okay. You know, the people like him that.
Okay, so for context, this guy we work with, we'll leave him at Nick. Although, if you heard the first part, then it doesn't matter. But he's more around my age. He's definitely younger than Ben.
Yeah.
But we won't discuss what he does or anything specific about him. We'll just say his name and what he's done to Ben. But he is one of those people who, when they get into discussions, they have this disillusion that they think they are right no matter what, even when they are brought with factual evidence and multiple disagreeing
multiple people.
multiple disagreeing people or opinions, and they still disagree and argue that their opinion is right, and when they know that it is bothering someone, they keep pressing on, still believing they are right, but also now getting enjoyment knowing this is annoying someone.
Right, and not seeing what
not saying the reason they're angry is not because you're wrong, but now you're just being a jack off about it.
Yeah, you're intentionally antagonizing somebody.
Yeah.
For no other reason than to intentionally antagonize somebody.
Now, I like to joke with Ben and say this man is his best friend, because.
But see, and that's
because this man gains enjoyment from seeing Ben's anger.
And not that, and a lot of times it could be addressed by saying, well, this is the kind of person you just got to walk away from. And yeah, I understand that.
But when the same person is, you're gonna see them no matter what, and they know what they're doing, and also that that you can't really get away from them. It's kind of like, well, this is gonna end one way or another.
Right.
Where either someone is getting hurt or both of you are just gonna leave, you know?
Yeah. And he is, it's just a special kind of annoying.
Yeah.
Because
somehow
for starters, we've only known this guy for 4 weeks.
Close to a little over a month now.
And you know, I'm not gonna throw any language at you. I mean, Christian will, but this guy's first words to me, and I'm not gonna reveal my sports team's fan or anything.
who your affiliate? Well, I mean, I think that's fine if you're you tell me what sports team.
You know,
sports are fine.
I don't want to attract haters of that team because I don't need them bashing us on here.
All right, that's fine. I don't like sports, so it's fine.
But he saw the team I had on my background on my phone.
Yeah, and you wear some clothing too, and hats.
And
all
this
that
guy,
stuff.
you know, this guy, it was like his first day working with me. Technically I'm his superior at work. I'm his boss. I'm his manager.
Now he didn't know this at the time.
Now he didn't know that at the time, but his first words to me was he dropped an F-bomb at me over my team. And
now we don't live like in upstate New York or Philadelphia where that's just common. You know, people are jerks to each other.
I mean, we're in Western North Carolina. You know, we live in the middle of the Bible Belt, and
we live close to the South, where everyone's nice,
decent to each other.
Yeah, people say thank you and hello every day.
Yeah, so for him to just drop this on me based on what he saw on my phone, he was assuming. I mean, for one, it was very dumb of him because he was assuming an awful lot. He was assuming that I'm not some insane person that you're going to say that about my sports team and I'm going to go off on you. He assumed that wasn't going to happen.
Yeah.
You know, and then to find out later that I was his boss still didn't change his attitude about it. Not to say that he has to like the team I like because I'm his boss, but
to not be a complete dunce about how to act around
and
people.
Try to be a little bit more respectful, just in general. Not that I deserve,
especially at
or
your
demand
first
his respect,
job.
But just to be a little bit more.
Especially at your first job.
Yeah, hey, I should probably, maybe I shouldn't just talk like that to random people I don't know.
Fired the next.
Yeah, or worse.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't know people. You don't mess with people you don't know, and just assume everything's going to work out, even though I just told this guy to F off. Which
luckily I don't know about luckily. I kind of wish I was, but I wasn't there at the time. But if I was, I probably would have laid into this guy about why he just did that.
Or at least a look of, did you really just say that to him? Like,
yeah.
Do you know who he is? And I'm not saying I'm like the king of all bosses. I'm just saying.
But your position.
I mean, even set the fact aside that I was his boss.
Yeah.
This is just a person.
Yeah.
You just don't do that to somebody.
Yeah, I just don't like. I don't go out to some restaurant like I'm about to go sit down and eat, and then I see a guy across the table. He's wearing some certain outfit I don't like, and I just yell at him.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No, I'm with you there, and that's just
And that's just the aura he gives off. Where
and that
he
was his
thinks
first day. That was his first day.
Yeah, he thinks he's the walk of the town. You know, like
Yeah.
he's really important, but he's not. You know. And it's, again, we won't delve too much into this guy because we don't want to have like an entire segment dedicated to him.
I
But
mean,
just
if we
people
did,
like
if we
him.
did and got it over with, we'd never have to discuss it again.
But just people like him in general are just
Yeah.
like the bane of existence.
Like, why do you? What is it about this? And I mean, I'm all for playing a joke on one of your friends or razzing somebody about their sports team, having a good time, all in good fun. You just can't. You have to have that filter or that ability to understand when, hey, maybe I need to cut back or tone it down a little bit.
Yeah.
Because this guy looks like he's getting ready to hit me in the face.
Or worse.
You know,
Yeah,
and
or shoot me in the face. Which again, he also didn't realize that he lives in a state where open carry is legal. So,
Yeah.
you could have been a maniac with a gun as well.
I think he just assumed too much for his situation at the time.
Yeah.
And I don't have an issue with, he told me who he was a fan of. I don't particularly like that team, but I also don't demand that he change liking his team, and I don't bash his team.
Yeah.
I don't cuss him out because he likes that team or anything like that. It's just kind of, it was a very bizarre situation.
It was.
Because of just how quick it happened, and I'm like, but then I think the other part about it was he couldn't understand, like it didn't even click in his head.
Yeah.
Why I was mad at him in the first place.
Yeah.
Until I had to basically sit down and explain it to him.
Yeah.
Say, this is why.
Yeah.
Because on your first day in the job, you told me F off strictly based on a team I like. And that is ridiculous.
It is. It's very ridiculous. And it's just like, I don't see where, again, his reasoning on why that's just normal, you know?
It's not that, I don't even think that he thinks it's normal. I just think he thinks that it's completely like there's nothing wrong with that. That's just,
Yeah.
and he puts it under the category of that's just who he is. And I'm like, that's fine to a certain extent, but who you are is going to lead to some bad times for you. I mean, this job he has now, it is a college job. It's to give him some spending money during college. I get that. I hope he doesn't do that when he goes to use whatever he's going to college for. I hope on his first day at his big job somewhere that he's not just throwing the F word out of his manager.
That's to even say if he even gets, lands a job in that
I'm
career.
just saying, but if he does, that's great, and I hope he does. That's what
It's
he wants.
it's
He's
like
going
college.
to school for it.
College almost, it kind of gets your foot in the door, but not entirely. It's more like it's there, but now you have to keep trying to find some place that will let you have the experience of even working in that scenario, you know? And it's like me being myself, where I went to college for like a good year, but I stopped because I just didn't feel like it was for me. I do see the importance of it. I just have yet to see myself going back yet.
Right.
Because I still, even at this point in my life, after this many years, I still have not found a career path that I want to even start in. Like, that's not to say let's say if I start crime forensic, I'll end at crime forensics. Just like Colton, he changed his career like halfway through.
Right.
So that could happen to me, but I still have yet to find something I even want to start in.
What about a study on silverback gorillas lifting weights?
Yeah, zoologist.
I mean, that's where you should go with this.
Zoology sounds pretty fun. If I can hang out with poop flinging monkeys, then honestly, apes are cool though. Apes are like way better than monkeys because they have some semblance of intelligence. So it's like you want to go hang out and get some McDonald's, fucking Jack, and it's like ooh, you know.
You would name him Jack?
Yeah.
All right.
Just like Jack in that skateboarding monkey movie.
We're not doing it.
All right.
We're not discussing those movies.
We'll just give them quick context. How about that?
You go right ahead.
So, the discussion with the silverback gorilla also led into us discussing of these old classic '90s movies that I grew up watching because
they classically sucked.
Yeah, they did not hold up to time. Obviously, they were made in that time frame specifically. But one of the movies is Dunstan Checks In. I'm pretty sure most people have heard or know about
Stupid
it.
orangutan is a bellhop at a hotel.
Yeah.
I mean, that's...
Best friends with a blonde boy.
Stupid.
Who looks like Kevin McAllister from Home Alone. But, or did he?
Kinda.
Well, and then another...
Who cares?
Another two movies. They made a first movie and then a sequel of the first movie is a hockey playing chimpanzee named Jack, and I don't remember the name of the movies again, but they kept the same name.
Just listen to what you just said.
And then the second movie is he gets lost from his skateboarding or his hockey playing team, or he leaves them, something like that. I forget the premise, but he ends up hanging out with a child at a skateboarding ring who's also an orphan and lives in a shack by himself. And
that's nice.
He teaches him how to skateboard, so they become best skateboarding buddies.
The kid teaches the monkey how to skateboard? Okay.
But yeah, those movies all anger Ben. He doesn't like them at all. I love them because they were part of my childhood.
It's not so much anger as it is just annoyance.
No.
Just, I mean, say what you said about... say the first part about the monkey part. Just say it.
The hockey playing chimpanzee.
Right there. That is enough information about that movie to say I don't want to watch it.
But you didn't like the scene where the guy got the chimpanzee in trouble.
Never saw the movie.
By squirting ketchup on his arm and saying he bit him.
Never saw the movie.
Just to get him disqualified.
And the sad thing is, in the 90s, I guess maybe in the 90s, depending on, it was, I was in either middle school or high school, and even then I was like, this is ridiculous, and you can't just...
Well, good, it was pretty...
It sold, don't get me wrong.
Not well, obviously.
Well, well enough. They made a second one.
Yeah, that one did, but not Dunstan Checks In. But they sold. They honestly made that movie.
You think they should do a sequel to Dunstan Checks In where it says Dunstan checks out and he offs himself?
Well, I gave this hypothetical.
Shortest movie. Shortest movie. Dunstan's. It goes back to the hotel he works at.
Yeah.
And the hotel's all run down.
He's old.
He's had enough, and it shows him sitting at a desk, and he opens another bill, and then he just slowly walks up to the top of the hotel and jumps off.
Okay, I thought he was gonna have a gun.
I think since you have the hotel.
Well, I feel like if an orangutan can run a hotel, he can shoot himself.
Or it either does it off the top of the hotel, or it just does one of those things where the camera's panning away from the office, and you just hear the bang and see the flash of the gun.
Well, I gave that hypothetical that you shrugged off and were like, this is the stupidest thing you've ever said. But I said, what if Dunstan, this is his master plan to run a hotel, and he befriends small children to make them think he's their best friend, and he takes them away from their family slowly and then kidnaps them to eat them.
Like It, kind of, but...
Yeah.
Instead, it's Dunstan?
Yeah. I still like the suicide idea.
Well, I think it's more realistic.
The 5-minute fan film.
I think it's more realistic, and I think it's
I
think it's the sequel that movie deserves.
Yeah, just to end it all,
Because you don't even need any other actors. You just need an orangutan to kill himself.
I haven't seen that movie in a while, so I don't know how it ends. Like maybe it like pans away and like the hotel's really well or whatever. But like maybe people want like a sequel to it, you know, like something to like end the story with. You know, like what happened afterwards. You know.
Dunstan checks out. A short film brought to you by. But those movies are just horrible.
Yeah.
And I mean that's something we're gonna cover a lot of movies on this podcast that we think.
Something I don't necessarily disagree with a lot, because I can admit that a lot of the movies I enjoy are terrible.
Yeah.
I like terrible movies because they bring an enjoyment to me because of the fact that they're failing, you know?
I think this is kind of weird for me too, because I'm not a big horror flick fan, or even thriller for that matter. But like a movie I like to watch, I've always liked it, and my brother, you know, he gives me crap about it because for him it's just such a weird premise of a movie too. Is Maximum Overdrive.
Oh, Maximum Overdrive.
Which, don't get me wrong, I understand. Just like you, I understand. There's some aspects about that movie that are just absolutely stupid and ridiculous. Yeah. Okay, the scene where the electric knife seems to lunge at the waitress. Okay, like it's one thing if the vehicles are being possessed by whatever, and because they have actual moving parts and can wheels and roll and turn and stuff like that, whereas the electric knife, it's just sitting on a counter and it attempts to jump, you know, and cut the waitress. And that's just dumb. And again, too, I think it was an '80s movie.
Yeah.
So the special effects weren't as advanced as they are now.
Yeah.
But
obviously,
the problem I think is if they remade that movie now, I think they'd be so much about goring it up that you wouldn't even. Nothing else would matter. You'd just be goring up the movie.
Yeah. And again, we'll save some other movies later for when Colton gets here, because again he has his opinions as well.
Just remember, start you a list of movies that suck. Dunstan checks in, and whatever hockey chimpanzee skateboarding movie is.
Yeah, those two.
Those two suck. You don't need to waste your time.
I guess Maximum Overdrive or not.
If it's on TV again, watch it.
Another movie. We won't talk about it yet, but The Wraith. I'll show you that movie because I guess you haven't seen it, but it's about a kid who gets killed by a street racing gang in his hometown. He comes back to life through alien technology or something, but he comes back to life somehow. He kills them all off one by one and rids the town of them all, and then drives off into the sunset with his girlfriend. You know?
That makes sense.
Yeah. So, yeah. And he tells his brother he's alive and then gives him the alien car. And he's like, what? And then it's like he never got to hang out with him. But we'll talk about that movie another time. If anyone else has seen The Wraith, good on you, because you know how amazing that movie is.
It's so good. I haven't seen it, but yeah. I will try to.
It's one of those really like late 80s movies, right. Like 87, 89.
Well, you had to be because you pretty much weren't alive before then.
Yeah, I wasn't alive, but I still saw it somehow. Yeah. I guess you want to just end the podcast at this point now. We're at like an hour 40 minutes.
Yeah, and we'll have to. Yeah,
we'll have a closing or a cold closing. But
I hope everybody enjoys it.
Yeah.
You know, definitely the feedback's appreciated. Try not to be too harsh.
That one guy.
Yeah, don't Hey, if you didn't like it, don't worry about it. We're not going to worry about it.
Get out of here. Or email me personally, and I will have an amazing conversation.
So we'll have the email up on the posting.
Yeah.
We'll have the poll.
We'll have a poll.
Don't forget.
I'll try to figure out how to set that up.
Silverback
or grizzly bear.
Grizzly bear. I guess we'll try to reveal that either in our next podcast or one of the upcoming podcasts.
Maybe we won't bring it up at all, but we'll know.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good place to start, though.
It'll
give
be
a reason piece to tune back in. You know?
It'll give me a peace of mind.
Yeah, maybe it'll help him figure out if he wants to
continue the
pursue teaching
zoologies.
silverbacks to lift weights or a career in zoology. Yes.
Yeah.
I think the animals would be better off if you didn't, but that's just my opinion of you. So,
right.
Again, I'm Ben.
Cristian.
The first podcast of Let Me Just Say This.
Yeah. Maybe first, or maybe just like the teaser. An hour-long, 50-minute teaser.
We still got to go through the process of editing, though. We'll see what we can cut out.
You can tell me how terrible I am.
Well, yeah, we can cut it down and shave and see what we got. You know.
Yeah. We'll put some like music in the background.
Any topics you guys want us to discuss too, or anything questions y'all might have, don't forget to post those too.
Yeah.
All right.
Don't forget to send me dick pics.
Again, make sure those go directly to Cristian.
I
do not want those.
I will not give out Ben's personal email without his consent.
That is correct.
But I do have it.
You will not.
Okay. All right.